Good afternoon, y'all. As promised, today is the post about the surgery and what it was like. Um, again, my surgery was last month, not even a month ago. It'll be a month in 2 days. I was called 2 days before. I'm sorry, I went and got tested. My blood and everything got tested 2 days before to make sure they had my blood type and everything ready to go in case I needed a transfusion, which I thankfully did not. Um, and then I was COVID tested, obviously, to make sure that I didn't have COVID. And then the day before my surgery, I got a call in the late afternoon telling me what time I would need to arrive and approximately what time my surgery was going to take place. So for me, my surgery was scheduled for 1:30 in the afternoon, so I had to arrive at 11:30 in the morning and get everything registered. So I did. My friend took me, and we went and I got registered, and I got they checked my band and everything and checked me in, and then they took me back to the OR, which is the operating area. And after about probably 20 minutes or so in the waiting room, my friend was given this kind of like when you used to be able to go to restaurants, remember that? And so they'd give you like those discs to tell you like, oh, whatever, party of 5, your table is ready. And it would like beep and shit. So my friend was given one of those disky things so that she would be given, she would know when she could come back to sit with me prior to me going in for surgery. And they had her write down her phone number, and it was really actually kind of cool. They were going to give her text updates on the procedure as it was going and underway and things like that. So about 20 minutes after that, they took me back, and she stayed in the waiting room. And I went and I got undressed, and I put my robe on or my gown, whatever. And they weighed me, and they hooked me up to my IV. And they, took my vitals and everything like that. And they went through what the process was going to be like with me. And they told me, the surgeon would come in and talk to me. The surgeon would come in and talk to me in a little bit and go over any questions I had and let me know what was going on. Now, the day that I was there apparently was super busy because they were like 3.5 hours behind or something. So my surgery was scheduled to start at 1:30. The surgeon came in probably around noon, little afternoon, and told me that things were a little delayed because they had, some emergency surgeries and things that came up, and so scheduled surgeries was pushed back. And the nurses had said that because it's the end of the year and people have met their deductibles, surgery times are kind of wonky November, December, because everybody's scheduling any surgery that they need to have, because if their deductible's been met, they can have it now and they don't have to worry about huge out-of-pocket costs. So they anticipated that it would probably be like an hour delayed. Yeah, we were way more than an hour delayed. We were like 3 to 4 hours delayed. I didn't get taken back for surgery until like 4:30. Later than that, maybe. Anyway, so I don't really remember. They said that the procedure was going to be about 2 to 2.5 hours long. That my support person, who was my friend, would get updates through her phone and things like that. And then after they brought me out of the operating room and I started to wake up, once they put me in a room, they would allow her to see me before they put me in a room after I had woken up. Well, that didn't end up happening because my surgery ended up getting so delayed and I ended up going back so late. And then the procedure went as planned. Nothing was wrong with the procedure, but because it was so far delayed and it took me a while to wake up from the anesthesia, I didn't end up being put up in a room until like 10:30 at night, and she was already released at that point because they didn't know when I would be with it enough to actually talk to her. And, she had a family too, so she had to go home. No big deal. Now, the funny thing is I don't really remember anything. When I remember being in the OR before, I remember them, hooking everything up. And then when it was time for surgery, they all came into the room, pretty much everybody except the surgeon, the nurses and everything. And they're like, okay, we're going to put this into your IV. And this is just going to like kind of relax you and make you feel, kind of twilighty. this is just to get you ready for anesthesia. And then we're going to wheel you back and get you in the operating room and, you know, get you under anesthesia and get going. All I remember is them putting whatever they put in. I don't even know what they put in. I'm sure they told me at the time, but I don't remember. Them putting in my IV, whatever medication it was they put in. And a few seconds later, I was giggling like a fucking hyena. So, and then I remember being wheeled out of the room, and I remember like half of the hallway, and that's it. The next thing I knew, I was waking up as they were rolling me from the stretcher onto my bed in the room that I was going to be in. And I remember looking at the clock and seeing, oh my God, it's like 10:30 at night. Like, I told everybody that, you know, my family and everything, that my surgery was at like 1:30, and I'd probably messaged them around like 5 or 6. They're probably all worried. Like, I was higher than a kite still. Like, I could tell that, like, I was very just groggy and dazed, and I felt like I had, I don't know, like, just not even been, like, high, because it was a different kind of feeling. But yeah, so I was like, all right, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to text everybody right now. So I did a Facebook post, and I was just like, I'm okay. And it was barely coherent. I'm okay, just in pain. Everything went well. And that was it. I remember being in a lot of pain, specifically in my right side. And that pain actually has lasted for a long time. It's gotten way better. I mean, now I'm almost 4 weeks out and it's almost completely gone, but the right side pain was the worst. And the surgeon had prepared me for that. He had told me prior to the surgery that the right side would hurt the most because they go through a substantial amount of your abdominal muscle with the tube, on that side. Sorry, I don't know where I left off, but my kid was not using his listening ears and climbing all over the furniture like he knows he's not supposed to do, and he bumped his head. So here we are. Anyway, had to console and remind that there's a reason. Mommy tells you not to jump on the furniture. Anyway, so yeah, that pain lasted for quite some time, but it was really, really significant those first 2 weeks. The other pain was pretty minimal. I mean, my stomach hurt, like, not, it's hard to explain because it wasn't like, oh, I have a stomach ache, but like I could tell, you know, that they'd just gone in there and cut me up and stapled me together and all that kind of stuff because I hurt, like it was painful. They gave me that good pain medicine though, you know what I'm talking about, that Dilaudid. Yeah, that's that good opiate shit. Not encouraging drug use in any way, shape, or form, but coming out of surgery, that stuff does what it's supposed to do, and it makes things a lot better. So I was able to go to sleep, and that felt really nice. And then I woke up more than the next morning. I woke up probably about 4 or 5 hours later because I was in a lot of pain again. But the nurse came in, gave me my other medication that I was allowed to have, Tylenol. And, you know, some gas chews and stuff like that to help things move around in there. And they looked at my incisions, made sure everything looked good, and then let me go back to sleep and let me rest. At this time, I still had the catheter in and everything, and they kept that in probably for, I think, like the next 12 hours. Because it was taken out early the next day, but it was still in through that. Oh, excuse me. It was still in through that, through the night and into the next day. So then we're into Thursday, and I was feeling pretty good. I was just very tired, very, very tired. That was the biggest thing. I wasn't hungry. I had to, you know, like drink lots of fluids. So I would, every time I'd be awake, I would make sure I was sipping my water, which it was very difficult because I was to get as much fluid as I needed to get in, especially those first couple of days because I was so tired. Literally, I'd be awake for an hour and it was like, oh, I'm maxed out. Like, I gotta go back to sleep. So I'd like do video chats with my kid because I missed him a lot. And then I'd go back to bed and then I'd wake up and I'd do it again. I'd video chat my kid, or I would message a friend depending on it, you know, what time it was, because I'm not video chatting my son at 10 o'clock at night. He's sleeping. And then literally like within an hour to 2 hours of that time, I was wiped and I'd go back to sleep. They kept trying to give me like protein shakes and stuff like that to see if I could keep it down. I could keep it down. I wasn't throwing up, but I could not tolerate it. I could not drink that. It was way too heavy. It felt really like just painful. So they gave me like Jell-O and stuff like that, and I could handle that. That wasn't a problem. And it's like special kind of Jell-O because it has like Bena protein or whatever powder in it to give you more protein. Because the key is to getting your nutrients. So like it's not about calories after the surgery. It's not about calorie counting, which is very different for me. And honestly, like the calorie intake that I can even manage in a day isn't what most people should eat in a day. But then again, I have a stomach that is way smaller than most people's stomachs now, and I have a completely different digestive system than most people. So what is expected and needed for those, for normal individuals, calorically speaking, is not the same for me and won't ever be, which is totally good by me because with my history of restricting and like calorie obsession, it actually works really well. Now, granted, I've done a lot of work myself in therapy and things like that to move past that, but it's still helpful to know that like I don't have to have the calorie war anymore, because what I can eat and what I want to eat is not very, and the amount is so small that I couldn't even get to that many calories if I wanted to. So most of my days now, which I'm currently in I'm currently in pureed food stage, and tomorrow I move into soft food stage. So first 2 weeks after surgery was full liquid. So I could have protein shakes, I could have like sugar-free pudding, sugar-free Jell-O, sugar-free popsicles, water, sugar-free Kool-Aid, all that kind of stuff. Cream of chicken soup, which was like my favorite go-to, bone broth. That's the kind of stuff I could eat on full liquid. And I was perfectly fine with that. I had no problems. And I'm not a big soup eater, but I didn't mind it in those first 2 weeks because, again, I was eating because I had to nourish my body. Now, with gastric bypass, they take out the part of the stomach that actually signals hunger. So it's not unusual for people with gastric bypass to not feel hungry. And I'm one of those people, I don't really ever feel hungry. Every once in a while, now that I'm like about a month out, I'll be like, oh, wait, I think my stomach is telling me I'm hungry. But it's more of like a, hey, warning, you haven't eaten in this many hours, versus like, feed me, Seymour. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, the cream of chicken soup, the reduced fat cream of chicken soup made with the Fairlife milk gave me a ton of protein. I had no problem hitting my protein goals once I came home. There was a whole debacle in the hospital, but we're not even going to go there because this is not about that. This is about what the surgery was like and what after the surgery was like. So I'm going to take you guys up to like where I'm at now. So the liquid stage was 2 weeks, and by like the 10th day I was getting to the like, oh my god, I would like some variety. Not even that I was like sick of the liquid. It was more just like, oh my god, there's only 2 or 3 things that my body will even accept, and I'm so ready to try mashed potatoes. Never thought I'd say that, but I was like, yes, bring on the mashed potatoes, which came with pureed. So in pureed stage, I was able to have, I've been able to have refried beans, fat-free refried beans. I can do like shred a little bit of like low-fat mozzarella on there and melt it, and that's totally fine. My body accepts that pretty well, actually. I make bariatric pizzas, which I really like. I just, again, shred some low-fat mozzarella. I bake it. I put the marinara. I put like pizza spices. So I do like onion powder, garlic powder, crushed red pepper. And then I do another layer of the cheese. And then I bake it at like 400 degrees for like 5 or 10 minutes until it's all bubbly and gooey and delicious. And I can't eat very much of it, like maybe 1 ounce to 2 ounces. It's not a whole lot. But it's very good and it's satiating. So that worked out well. Mashed potatoes, fat-free refried beans, with like taco sauce and salsa and stuff like that. You can have, I could have unsweetened homemade applesauce, which I had just canned some before my surgery, so that worked out really well. And that all worked really well. But what I did notice was that moving from liquid to the pureed stage, I had more and more difficulty getting my protein in, because when I was in the liquid stage, it was easy to get protein in because I would make my cream of chicken soup with my Fairlife milk. And the Fairlife milk has way more protein than regular milk. It's got like 13 grams in a cup. So in a can of soup, there'd be a cup. So, and there was a little bit of protein already in the cream of chicken. So I'd get like 8 or 9 grams of protein in one meal with the milk and what was already in the soup. And then my bone broth had like 9 grams of protein. And so it was a lot easier for me at that stage to get the protein in than it became in pureed. Because in pureed, now, you know, like I said, I'd have a little bit of the mozzarella, the shredded mozzarella melted over like the refried beans, or melted over the marinara for like the pizza. I still have to add, I have to add protein shakes now, because otherwise I only hit like 25 grams of protein in a day. So one of the biggest helpers I find is the Oikos Oikos. I don't know how to say it. It's the Greek yogurt. Know what I'm saying? It's like the official of the NFL. They have a 000, which is got like only 5 grams of sugar. It's got 15 grams of protein. They have lemon tart, which I really like. Orange cream, which is pretty good. They have a cherry one that's pretty delicious. And they have regular vanilla if you're not a fan of the flavors. But those are like a go-to for me for breakfast because they are 15 grams of protein. And I have to get, well, up until yesterday, my goal was 40 grams. Now they want me to start trying to hit the 55 grams, which is going to be my like ongoing protein nutrient goal that I will need for my body and my body type. So yeah, being in the pureed stage made it a little bit more difficult. I had to get a little bit more creative with how I made things. Making mashed potatoes from potatoes instead of like the Idahoan bagged kind made a big difference too, because obviously I'm making it with the Fairlife milk. When you're making instant mashed potatoes, especially the ones that call only for boiling water, I would add milk to it to like cream them up and make them a little bit more protein rich. But it's not the same as making a batch of mashed potatoes and, you know, using a whole cup of milk over like 4 servings versus, you know, a splash of milk in the serving. So if that makes sense. So yeah, so tomorrow I start soft foods. So that means I can have like fish. I can have like ground hamburger as long as it's like crumbly and soft and moist. I can have chicken, turkey, that kind of stuff. I tried eggs. They did not sit well with me, so they told me to wait and try again. So they told me to wait and come back to it. They said a lot of times eggs are difficult for gastric bypass patients to tolerate in the first few weeks, even though they do have it on the pureed list as a potential option. My dietitian said that most sleeve patients do better with it the 3rd and 4th week than bypass patients. But she said to wait until like after the 6-week mark when I'm fully, like my stomach is fully healed and I can start trying like regular whole foods, like raw vegetables and stuff like that, which right now I still can't eat that kind of stuff. Ooh, and that's the other exciting thing. I can have steamed kale tomorrow. I'm so excited. I've been missing my vegetables, which is strange because I was not a huge vegetable eater before. There were some vegetables, like I love spinach, I love kale, green beans and stuff like that I get down with. But I never thought I'd miss them. Like I have missed them. I made my son some chopped kale one night for his, with his dinner, and I just wanted to eat it so bad. But at that time I was like 3 days into the pureed stage and I knew that that was not a good idea. And that is one thing I will say, that I've heard that there are people that come out of the surgery and they don't follow the diet recommendations and they try to rush, you know, new foods and stuff like that, and foods that they're not supposed to be eating. I would very much advise you not to do that. I did not, because I won't tempt fate. I don't want to hurt my body. I don't want to end up back in the hospital. I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize me being here for my son for a very, very long time. But I've heard that people do that. They do, you know, and I get it. I mean, I totally understand why you would. Like, I'm on day 13 of the pureed, and I'm ready for fucking something different. I'm ready to move in to the soft food stage and try, like, some meat, because mashed potatoes and refried beans, you can only eat so much of that, right? So I totally get that. But if you are considering the surgery, just know that there's there's a process that you follow afterwards, and there's a reason for that, because the pouch that they've created, you know, the staples are still in there. Your body is not healed yet. You do not want to jeopardize ripping any of those staples open, getting any leaks. That stuff can not only make you super, super sick, it can threaten your life. So it's not like I'm never going to be able to eat that stuff again. I will be able to. It's just not right now. And that's okay, because right now I'm trying to relearn how to eat and relearn how to fuel my body and not eat for any other reason than to live, because really that's the only reason we should be eating food, is to live. And I know because I was an emotional eater pretty much my entire life. I was taught to be an emotional eater by other emotional eaters, and I get that sometimes you just want that warm bowl of macaroni and cheese, or that, you know, French onion soup was another one that I really liked. I loved French onion soup when I was in pureed, and that is a good one. Anyway, it's just not worth it. It's really not worth it to rush it, because I think from my perspective, like, this is my chance to have a complete reset and a complete redo. Like, I don't have to have the body that I had my whole life. I don't have to struggle with food anymore. I don't have to be at war with myself anymore. I can love who I am, not only inside but outside, and I can learn how to be a healthy person and teach my son healthier habits and show him by example that we eat to live, not live to eat. And I think that is one of the most valuable things that has come out of this for me, because I don't live to eat anymore. I eat so that I can stay alive and stay healthy and be available to my son. And that is absolutely, I mean, I can't even describe it. It's such a gift. I'm so grateful that I've had this opportunity to have this surgery, to go through this process. And I'm hoping that by sharing my journey with all of you, that somebody out there will benefit from it and be able to make a good decision for themselves. So stay tuned, because tomorrow we're starting soft foods, and I'm going to let you know how that flounder goes, because that's what we're trying. I've had some frozen flounder in that freezer for a long time. We're ready to try it. Till next time, guys. Bye.